he calls this the consciousness doubler, and that is, imagine you are the other person. Put yourself into the other person's position. Now this of course would be used in situations in which the other person is the stimulus for our negative emotions. Okay, we wouldn't use this for an earthquake or something like that. Imagine that you are the earthquake. You might imagine that. You might discover something through that. We did this in one class a few weeks ago. Yes, the earth, you're just trying to throw people off. You know. Get rid of these polluters. Okay. Like a person trying to shake off lice off of his head. Okay. So imagine that you are the other person and try to understand the feelings and the needs and the beliefs. Three things: what the other person feels, what he needs, and what he believes, which is causing him to function in this way. Now the functioning could be a functioning which bothers us because it's aggressive or violent, or it's hurting us, or it could be laziness, it could be a lack of responsibility, a lack of productivity, or it could be anxiety, anger, shouting, and these kinds of things. In both cases, it's useful to realize that in 99% of the cases, the reason this person is functioning in this, in quotations, negative way, is that he doesn't have enough self-confidence and self-acceptance. That basically fear and self-doubt are behind these kinds of actions. I believe that laziness is usually just a result of the fact that a person fears failure. Failure. It fears trying, you see, because trying creates the possibility of not succeeding. And not succeeding may be overwhelmingly painful for some people because they have learned that they have to be perfect, or they believe that they have to be perfect, not make any mistakes, so the best thing is not to do anything whatsoever. It could also be the result of lack of energy, but in many cases it's the fact that someone doubts their ability or doubts their self-worth. So putting ourselves in the other person's shoes, in the other person's situation, often helps us to become free from negative emotions towards that person. So this is the consciousness doubler, and it's this way because I am experiencing two consciousnesses now. I'm experiencing my own consciousness and this person's consciousness. So I have been increased, you see. And if I can do this with more and more people, then I keep increasing my consciousness as I begin to understand and identify with more and more people in my life and what they are feeling and why they are doing what they are doing. And then we can understand them. That does not mean that we are not strict with them in asking them that they behave properly. Understanding someone doesn't mean that we allow them to do anything they like, even when that is against any kind of moral conduct, or they are doing to us what they would not like us to do to them. It means that we understand them, we don't have negative feelings towards them, but we are very assertive in explaining the behavior that we need from them. That balance is not always easy, but it is definitely a goal. Because we neither want to suppress ourselves, we want to respect ourselves, but we also want to respect the other. So when we're not expressing our needs and feelings, we're not respecting ourselves. But when we're shouting and screaming at the other and calling him all kinds of horrible names, we're not respecting him. So we want to be respectful but assertive. Another possibility in working with energy, with negative emotions, is to channel them in various ways. We already mentioned dancing. We could add to that all forms of creative activity. We could draw our emotions. We could write about our emotions. We could play them in theater in psychodrama. We could write poems. And of course, we could play music, we could sing, we could dance. All forms of creative expression work both preventatively and as a measure of solving problems. That is, if we have creative activity in our lives, we are more balanced, we are happier, we are more fulfilled. I think that it's integral in every person's life that they should have some time daily in which they are doing something creative, whether it's singing or dancing or drawing or writing or working in the garden or creating a nice dish, something to eat, or rearranging the house, or doing something in which they are expressing their creative nature. This is very important for our balance. But it's also a very useful way of releasing emotions when they are pent up. Another way also is working. You know, if you just wash all the dishes and you clean the house and do the balcony, and, you know, usually the emotions start calming down. I don't know what kind of vibrations we're leaving on the floor and the furniture, but anyway, it's getting out of us through work. So work is also a way. We have to, of course, be careful that we don't become workaholics and that we are avoiding our emotions by being continually occupied with work. Okay, so one has to find a balance with this. Another way is play. This is the way children keep their balance, and you all know that children can be crying 1 minute and laughing 2 minutes later, and it's the ability of play which allows them to release this. Now, you don't see too many adults playing tag or hide and seek or chasing after each other as you would see children. We do seminars occasionally for playing for adults, you know, adult games. But each one will have to find his own. I guess sports is a way of playing, you know, playing tennis, playing basketball, swimming, or different recreational activities are both ways to keep a long-term balance, but also to release emotions. And of course we have crying. It's always a good solution. But afterwards we have to go back to the drawing table and say, okay, what was I crying about? What was the stimulus? What was the emotion? What was the belief? Crying is a very good way to release things and to come in contact with what we are feeling. But afterwards we want to analyze it. Another way too is also to allow this energy to work in a form of service, helping people around us. One way is to do healing work or massage work. In such cases, we can also direct this energy in a positive direction, which helps other people. Or serving people, going to an orphanage once a week, or to an home for the elderly, or helping the poor, or cooking for the homeless. These kinds of activities help us to feel a sense of meaning, help us to feel a sense of self-worth, of connectedness, of unity with the society around us. Here in Anmonikis, we believe very much in service, that it's a way of life and it's a goal in life to serve others.